Hello and welcome to episode 49 of my informative playthrough of Pathfinder Kingmaker. And I've just travelled back along here from Ancient Mine where we killed a wyvern, and we're just going to head back to the capital. We've got quite a few things we want to do this episode, but they're all a bit disparate. And you can see that someone has finished, and we can guess that is going to be Octavia, since the whole point of this was to waste the 2 days that I'd locked her down for until she completed what she was doing, which is this one, Proposal for Cooperation. This was an opportunity, so failing has no consequences apart from wasted time. And this time we've got a triumph, which is when you roll over a certain number of points above the DC, and that gives us some nice bonuses. Nothing particularly exciting, but that has set our community up for getting close to 40, which is our aim this chapter, now that we've finished the main event, Troll Trouble, is to rank up everything here up as high as we can, while also getting to at least level 9 and clearing almost everything which we can do in this chapter that's relevant and close to home, and getting all our artisans set up. So it's a big deal. Anyway, we're going to return to the moving map here. And into the capital. Now, there's still a couple of things we can do in the main square, but I'm going to, like in the tavern, because of course we can report back that we've talked to the witch and we didn't find the child. But instead, we're just going to go straight to the throne room, we've got a few things to do here, and obviously these loading times are getting quite high now. I will need to clean out the save files as well, because apparently if you have fewer save files you can speed up these loading times a bit. I try and keep as many as possible off screen, but first of all we're just going to go to Bartholomew here, and we're going to offer everything that we don't need. Ditch that. Now, this was an item here, which I didn't talk about when we picked up. This was Robe of Water. And all it says, not very helpfully, is Cold Aura. And it weighs 1 pound and it's worth 3,000 gold. So what on earth is that? Well, you can either look it up on a wiki, or you can know from previous experience that this should increase the DC of your cold spells by 1. So if Octavia is wearing this Robe of Water, the DC of a spell like Snowball, which checks DC to see whether something is staggered by being hit by the snowball, will be increased by 1. So if we want to throw various snowballs with her, then it's advantageous to have this robe on. There are other robes that provide bonuses to other elemental spells, but this is the first one which you might logically achieve in game. And I'm just going to throw various bits and pieces in the stash, and then we'll get on to doing some kingdom stuff. You can see we have gained this here, bodily poisons there, and we'll just throw cooking ingredients away. By type, you should be okay. Yeah, we go. And of these, we're just going to have a Miri hang on to that for now, so I don't accidentally get rid of it. That's our Undead Bane weapon. Tristan, you can have that crossbow, since I haven't bothered giving you anything. And we'll just sell those two. There we go. And you can see this has put us up to 6,800, and we've still got like the odd thing we can turn in, but 68,000 I should say. So let's have a little look at our region here. And the main thing here is that we can now claim, and this is going to cost a whopping 400 build points, but we're just going to go and buy a lot. 700. There we go. Should almost put us at 1,500. And then we're going to spend a large amount of them on seizing this region. But before we do that, we just make sure there's nothing else we want to put something into for this? Yeah. Anyway, looks like we're okay. We're just going to go ahead and claim. And we just got to twiddle our thumbs while 14 days goes on as we seize this region. Octavia is incapable of doing it herself. No bonus, but our build points should go up. Now, so we've got a rather crooked looking, I should say barony, not kingdom. There we go, lovely flaming borders around it. And we can have a look at our events. Okay, Regunga says failed. That's not very nice. But Tristan has triumphed. So I guess we win some, we lose some. That's a shame that we failed that military one because I was hoping to get that up as close to 40 as possible. But we'll deal with it. Trade agreements signed, so more BP per week. It's like you spend 100 for one a week. And yes, we've got 3 new things. First of all, devastating raids. This is going to take a long time, but we need to sort this as soon as possible. Unfortunately, we've got Regonga here with a high DC, so we're going to start that. Or I guess plus 11, so yeah, high chance of solving that. And this will hopefully cancel out his previous failure. We've got a letter. And we've got Jaethal in Fury in the throne room. And these are both companion quests here. You've got additional projects. Restoration of the Bronze Shield Fortress Road. And more curses. Anyway, we are going to stick Jubilost in there for now. And we are going to build our next village. This is Nalkeep here. And I've chosen to build it here because this is the absolute closest you can build it to where we are. And it's just very useful because we need to do a little bit of back and forth now. But let's go see what these events in the throne room are. So Jaethal first. And she comes with Enio the travelling merchant, who we haven't visited outside yet, but he doesn't have all that much of interest to sell. And yes, Jaethal is apoplectic with rage at Enio and has dragged him in along with some guards, presumably to enforce this. And he's saying that he can explain what's going on. And Jaethal is not very happy at all. Have I told you the sad story of my death? It is sad, most of all, because I do not remember how my life ended. I wandered, exhausted, through the wastelands beyond the border of Kyonin, until I could barely see my path. I stopped to rest, or perhaps I lost consciousness. When I came to my senses, I heard the call of my goddess, returning me from the dead. And, yes. So, here we go. She'd entered the shop of this individual here, and discovered her own dagger, which she shows to you, and it disappeared the night she died. So how on earth, when she died, did her dagger disappear, and how did it end up with this individual? But we only really get one choice here, which is to hear the other side of the story. And yes, so it seems that she was she's brought him here instead of torturing him. So I guess thanks, Jaethal. So yes, so he recounts his story. Yesterday, north of the city, I stumbled upon a dead boar, but the dagger was protruding from the miserable beast's neck. I don't know why the owner would have left it in the carcass. So, it's a bit strange, isn't it? Perhaps the beast escaped from the hunter, taking the weapon that had injured it, so I inadvertently decided to keep the item I found, and never suspected. So, we can inquire a little bit more about, what's going on here. So, where did you find the carcass on the dagger? And basically, it's Old Sycamore. So, I mentioned a long time back that we would have reason to return to Old Sycamore to clean up some of the very last encounters there, including the resting in a dangerous spot encounter, and of course the shambling mound that's wandering around. And this is that reason. So, can you say anything more in your defense? And the answer is no. The dead boar is my only witness. I have faith that you will investigate my story and sort everything out. So, we basically get... we can tell Jaethal that maybe she should listen to reason, but I'm not going to pick this one. I'm just going to say we're going to investigate further, and we're going to check out this boar, which seems like a slightly, odd thing to do, I suppose. Like, but we're going to go look at a carcass. And Jaethal is quite pleased about that, while also angry. So this is our first companion quest story arc for Jaethal, which we will be heading out on as soon as we can. But here we get another letter, another companion quest. This is this letter from Fredero Sinnott, Paladin of Shellen, and he's claiming right to one of your companions. I think we can guess who that is, who was brought up in his custody. I'll leave it to you to handle this delicate matter. So yes, we gain this letter. And this is quite an important encounter here. This is so missable. Not this encounter, but what to do here if you didn't know. This is Dragn Waradesh, who comes with a request to receive compensation. And if you're playing an evil or lawful neutral or chaotic neutral companion, you might consider just telling this dwarf to naff off. But you'd be locking yourself out of some really serious stuff. Anyway, he says that the shield road ran through the lands and he wants compensation. He's come for what is mine. And he shows a list of expenses. Basically, so you would read all of this and you would think, wow, if I agree to what this guy wants, I'm going to end up spending a lot of money. And you could then think that maybe I'll turn him down. But actually, all he wants is a house and a shop, which will cost as much as the sum in this scroll. And he wants a blacksmith's workshop, and he claims to be a decent blacksmith. And he is our second artisan after Bokken. And if you pick the other, if you tell him to go away, you can even hang him. Then you'll be locked out of an entire artisan. So that's a huge funnel of gold that be coming into your kingdom. So we basically have to pick this lawful neutral one here. Fine, I'll do as you ask. And there's no other really good choice. So, and he describes us as a worthy ruler. Anyway, thanks, buddy. Off you go. And that's it. There. So the first thing we need to do, because we want to speed our artisan production up as quickly as possible. That's Jaethal there, done. And that's the letter, done. We're going to click on Narlkeep here. We'll enter. And we'll spend some of our rapidly depleting build points on a Dragon's Armor shop. And while we're here, we'll build a watchtower here and walls. Okay, I'll build some more stuff once we get to it. In fact, we'll put the longhouse in as well, because these two synergize. So Dragon's Armor shop will get an additional +1 to economy when adjacent to a tavern or a longhouse. So we might as well put that in there. You see, this is a very different layout to our capital, but it is what it is. Anyway, that's spent far more build points than we have available. We're going to need to to find even more. And this is our next event here. Basically, we can level up Octavia because we are over 20. But before we do that, that would rank up community to 2 here, meaning that Divine is the main one that's lagging enormously. But we'll deal with that as we can later on. What we really want to do is we want to travel west of here. And you can see everyone's a bit ill. So I'm just going to rest up. There we go. Heal everyone. It's a shame that when you're passing time through the
dangers don't frighten me.
through the time pass screen, i.e. attending to events, for some bizarre reason that doesn't heal you. Even though we spent 14 days dealing with stuff, no dice. Anyway, we'll just take everyone. So if I bring up the map here, I'll talk through the plans for the future, because we've got a few. So we need to travel back and forth from Narlmarches a few times, and then we're going to need to deal with this letter. Yeah, letter from Fredero Sinet. So he's addressing this to us, and basically he wants us to free Valerie from her vows of service and send her to Oleg's trading post. And so we're going to show this to Valerie, and then we're going to head north. So we're going back and forth to Narlmarches. Then we're going to come up here to Oleg's, and we'll also knock off Jaethal's quest. And then we're going to travel east to pick up and we can give Bokken the 3 books as well. Then we're going to travel east to Sorrowflow, and we're going to do a little finesse to come over here to Varnhold, and then back down here to Lake Silverstep Village. Then we'll probably do some more ranking up, and we're going to travel this route down here to go via Mudbowl to deliver Swamp Witch's hut. We'll cut through here. We're also going to pick up some items we need down here. We're going to find a lost child, and we're going to visit the Hodag Lair for Amiri's quest, and then we'll come back. And then finally, we're going to visit Verdant Chambers, and we'll probably come up here as well, Tenebrous Depths. And that should eat up all our time, which, if we combine that with ranking up as well, that is. Anyway, let's just travel west, I should say. So we can enter Narlmarches. And there are actually 2 artisans here, not 1. So you really want to visit here, because you want to set the second one going as well. So this is actually our first visit to one of our villages, and you can see that it's set out with lots of individuals. We've got traders,
Share my path.
and we can sleep here in the same way that you can sleep somewhere else, and they sell junk food basically. We can sleep here without needing rations. Obviously, we can sleep anywhere without needing rations in our barony if we use a special feature. But, we've also got regular cleric with pretty good selection of clerical spells. That is what you need if you were looking for a cleric. But we are coming over here to see Dragn in front of his little shop. So he's already set up his shop. Interestingly, even though we only just built this 4 hours ago and it's going to take days to complete, it appears as soon as you start the building. You don't need to wait for it to finish building, so that means we can knock it off without waiting the 7 or so days. So we're not going to go through all his dialogue. I contemplated this, but most of it's filler, and we'll see this with the next artisan as well. Maybe if I get round to it, I'll go through it, but it's not riveting stuff, and it's not directly relevant to us. But we want to ask about this idea he's had about a family relic and a masterpiece. And yes, he refers to this suit of plate armor named Onslaught, which his grandfather wore. And he wants to bring the relic back and restore both the relic and his good name. You can see also it was stolen by his brother. He's seen fragments of this armor, though, at different traders, because it's been pawned off piece by piece. He's lost the jambarts, the gauntlets, and the cuirass. I never know how to pronounce that name. Cuirass? A fine set of armor turned into a pile of junk. See if you can find my grandfather's armor and bring it back. I promise I will repay you. And he refers to 3 local merchants. This is one of those sort of examples where you really... the game really, really rewards you reading everything. Because if you didn't, you'd be more likely to tell Dragn to go away and not build his workshop. And you wouldn't know where a lot of this stuff was. You either read it, or you learn by trial and error, or you read a walkthrough. Anyway, there are 3 places. 1 merchant in the capital, 1 at some trading post, that we know only 1 trading post, and the 3rd one prowls in distant corners, looking to buy valuables on the tree. I believe he has an acquaintance, Huntress Doomra, and you wouldn't know where that was until you've been there, but we're going to loop round and visit that. It's a trading post, a second sort of trading post / inn that's almost due south of us, as far away as you can get. Anyway, that's it for Dragn. We've got his little quest here to find and reforge Onslaught. And our second artisan is here. This is Shaynih'a. There she is. And we're just going to talk to her as well, because again, you wouldn't know. You wouldn't know you had to come here to do this. Like, artisans are this really sort of opaque part of the game. Anyway, she refers to the perfect human. I'm happy to meet you, O worthy one. And my name is Shaynih'a, but you may call me Tulip. All of my best friends do. Ever since the sun rose today, I had a feeling that I shall take part in a grand encounter, one that shall change our fates forever. And lo, it is so. Praise be the perfect human for this gift he has bestowed upon these eyes that see the future. She talks a lot, as much as I do. Yeah, a lot of waffle, lot of waffle, and a lot of sort of mythological stories or fables, and talking in allegories. Anyway, and so we meet. What next? Yeah, etc., etc. I'm beset by doubt. What if, by choosing the path of a master smith, I am making a terrible mistake? After all, I, Shaynih'a the Tulip, have seen many wonders, like to which your humble realm has never heard of, and I wish to recount them. But alas, I cannot write in your language. For this reason I require a writer, and a worthy one. I have witnessed Master Chokhek cover the emptiness in tattoos, and a human grew out of them, for these patterns were so intricate and deep that the ink became more important than the flesh. Trust me, for I have woven the tale of these events myself. Perhaps I have been destined to become the muse of a great writer. If, O worthy one, you find a suitable scribe for me, I shall pay you back handsomely with my wisdom and advice. Yeah, so we need to bring a writer along. Fortunately, we've got Jubilost here, and he likes to write a little bit. And I hope this esteemed opium inhaler will enthrall me with the depth of his knowledge and the richness of his verse. Alright. I greet you, O most worthy opiumist. I have heard much of your wisdom. Now lend me your ears and I shall tell you a story that... And, of course, Jubilost interrupts. What on earth is an opiumist? Isn't every learned man supposed to be an opiumist? Etc., etc. All the noble and illustrious scholars I've met in the past smoked opium. And, yes, I've noticed how empty her eyes are. And, Jubilost claims never to have inhaled anything, nor do I intend to. Although, as a well-known alchemist, right, who spends, when he's not writing, he's writing for Alchemy Quarterly or whatever journal he writes for, and he's playing with alchemical compounds. I suspect he has inhaled a few things while doing that. I find it highly unlikely that a whole cast of intellectuals would willingly expose themselves to such substances in order to lose their minds. Well, this is as true as the fact that the fastest black genies can outrun light beams, thus evading the touch of the sun. Trust me, for I've seen this with my own eyes. And Jubilost calls her out a little bit, because he indicates that they are fantastical. Anyway, we can keep silent. And a little bit of doubt. Perhaps I chose wrongly when I decided to become a muse. Until I can answer this question, I shall remain true to the calling I've always pursued, weaponsmithing. And that's our weaponsmith there. Anyway, she wants to tell us another story. We can listen to it, but this is a fable-like story here. And yes, about Maka, who's eating all sorts of things to gain their powers, including a tiger. Trust me, for I have met these creatures many times. Yeah, I believe you, Shaynih'a. And yes. Go now, for I need to be alone to think upon my words. Alright, there. Now, what you might also not know is that if you click on her again, she immediately needs some help. What sort of help do you need? And she wants us to deliver a letter to Hasuf. I don't think she says it here. This was written by my father. It was meant for a family that has lived for centuries near the home of my relatives in Absalom. My father asked me to pass this letter to a member of this fine family, should I ever happen to stumble across one. And yes, Hasuf, our trader, she wants us to deliver this letter to him. Anyway, please, we do not want to know more about you, Shaynih'a. So, two things. One, we want to deliver this letter. And two, we want to build Shaynih'a a workshop on top of Dragon's workshop. So we're going to build two workshops. Well, we built one. We'll build a second one. And this sets us on the path for these two artisans to eventually try and get their masterpieces. Stop here so I can save 3 hours of build time. Enter. And now we get the option to build a Shaynih'a's shop of exotic curiosities. And this also gets a benefit if it's adjacent to a longhouse. So we're just going to pop that in there like that. Now, what I might have done is I can't remember when you expand these places which direction it goes in. So we might be a little bit not as optimal as we could be. But it's hard for me to remember these things. Anyway, we've got loads of things building. You can see our stats here. Everything's ticking up quite nicely. Apart from that failure by Ragonga, who's dropped our military by 1. So that's enough of this screen. So I'm going to head back to city here, and we are going to go into. We're going to enter the main square, and I'm just going to visit 3 people: Hasuf, Valerie, and we're going to pop into the tavern as well. Of course, these loading times are getting quite long. But yeah, we want to go into the tavern because we want to talk to the mother of the lost boy to recount to her what the witch, the old beldame, said to us about this lost boy, that basically she hadn't captured him and cooked him in a pot, as was suspected. So first of all, we've got a letter to deliver from one ancient family to another. What's up, Hasuf? So here we go. Vadrani asked us to give you this letter. She claimed that your families know each other. And yes, he doesn't like it. That disgusting wretch and that entire family. So you probably did not know what was in the letter. All the better. You shouldn't burden yourself with a feud between families living on opposite sides of the world. You did your part, and I'm grateful to you, at least for caring to deliver this letter to me, though it was written by traitors. Your intentions were pure, of that I am certain. Alright. Oops, perhaps another time.
This is my time to shine.
Go off to see Valerie here. Hi, Valerie. We received a letter. So, you can give her the letter. He says I'm to free you from your service and return you to Shellen. like she owned you, Valerie. Take a look at the letter. Seem to have become the reason for this message, and highly inappropriate demands it contains. I know this person, Fredero Sinnett, is one of the mentors of the Order of the Eternal Rose, and so on. He kept saying louder than anyone that Shellen herself was predetermined my fate, even when I was packing my things before I left. Looks like he never came to terms with me leaving. But the nerve, the mistake of leaving our ranks, return to the path destined by her divine will. Since when does Fredero fancy himself the personal harbinger of his precious Shellen? Valerie's face, scarlet red, doesn't seem to notice the letter crumpled in her hand. Enough! We must put an end to this. If Paladins of the Order of the Eternal Rose require another refusal, they shall get it. If I'm going to the trading post with you to meet Fredero. I serve you. It's as simple as that. Okay. It's time to visit Oleg and Svetlana. There we go. We could say that she could just ignore it. There. And she basically says that, no, we can't. But that shifted our alignment a little bit further to the chaotic. Anyway, time to visit. And, off we go. Now, I'm not going to go into the tavern because it's a long loading time. I'll do that right at the end. We need to go back to the village again to report to Shaynih'a about what happened with Hassuf. And that will close off that particular part of this quest. So I think you can see why I put the village so close to our capital, because it makes this back and forth take a much smaller length of time than if we put it quite a long way away. And it means the other thing is that we've located it on a watercourse, which means we get that extra build slot, so we can put that pier in, which of course you wouldn't have if you'd put it in another location, which was away from the river. And because of this back and forth, I think it's beneficial at this early stage to have as much time as possible. And so we have obviously done things this way. Here we go. Letter delivery. So, we can either lie, or we can tell the truth. And I suppose we're just going to tell the truth, because I don't see any point in lying, as I've torn the letter into shreds, all while cursing your family. He wasn't pleased? How sad. This reminds me of a story that took place a long, long time ago. Please let me enlighten you, O worthy one. And we can list this story, and it's all about Kor, whose mother was a white shark, and his father was the most lustful and most inventive of all the mortals. Anyway, I think this is the perfect example of Shaynih'a's mythological stories, presumably from her homeland. And he wandered off in disgrace, hid himself in a gorge so that the scorpions could eat him. After he lay down and rested for 1,000 years, of course. And by listening to this, we get a little bit of experience. The immortal Rakshasa told him that great was Korkor's shame, but more shameful still would be to run like a coward. And he forged himself a new body out of iron, and then accomplished many great deeds, of course. And this is what she's getting at. You can lend as much weight to this as possible. Honor and disgrace may live in the same body, even though it may belong to a person of worth. Why then cannot my family's deeds be both honourable and disgraceful at the same time? Yes, my kinsmen have spilled much blood trying to destroy Hassuf's family, but it was also they who first decided to seek out peace. Okay, there we go. My heart has gained peace and my mind clarity, which is so important to a true master. Okay, Shaynih'a. Get on with making us cool items. And that is it for Shaynih'a for now. Everything else just requires time to pass before we have additional quest stuff with her. Now, this time, when I return to the capital, I am going to go into the tavern, and I'm going to do I'm going to just have this little chat. It's very brief. And then I'm actually going to level up one of our companions who we are going to take, because I haven't leveled up Jaethal at all, and she has been left as a level 1 Inquisitor. I'm just going to level her up. which will set us up for heading off on this journey north to face those who want to reclaim Valerie for the Paladins of Shelyn. So we can just pop over here and we can talk to Jenna about her missing son. So, I paid a visit to the witch. Your son isn't there. How can that be? And I thought, but if it wasn't her, then that means that yeah. And she's a bit distraught. So calm down. What did you hide from me? And yes, he was very annoying. And so basically, she cursed him, or it seems she thinks she did. I told him he can go drown himself in Candlemere Lake. His own mother, wishing he was dead. But how could I have known it would all come true? If you find him, I beg you, tell him I love him more than life itself. Never again. Shall I say anything mean to him? Just bring him back home, safe and sound. So this links into our curse theme. That perhaps she cursed her own son when he flipped a tub of dough. Okay, that really is enough back and forth for now. So let's just see about leveling up Jaethal, and I will talk through this as I go. So I think I've said that the Inquisitor is a little bit of a funny class because you lose quite a lot. They're a level 6 divine spellcaster, so they lose out on a lot of what a cleric has, and what they get in return can be very powerful, but can also make you feel like you're a less good cleric if you're not making full use of it. Obviously they get things like Bane, and they get Judgment, and they get extra teamwork feats, so they get far more feats than a cleric would, but they're teamwork only. And I think it's noted that Pathfinder, Kingmaker, and still in Wrath of the Righteous actually have far fewer teamwork feats than in the tabletop game. So teamwork feats are not as powerful as they are in tabletop. That's what I was trying to say. So we get this nice bonus to initiative. Initiative's great. You always want high initiative, and so we get a nice little bonus to it there. Skills, I'm just going to stick to leveling up everything that she's already got. Yeah. Oops, there we go. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is actually, we won't level up persuasion because I'm not planning on taking her into any sort of persuasion type build. We've always got Lindsay for demoralizing things with her Dirge of Doom. Or, no, actually, I will, because we can combine all sorts of things in Jaethal. Anyway, so we get to pick our spells, our spontaneous spells, and there's not a lack of slots at level 1. Obviously we want Divine Favor, because that's going to increase her to hit if we use it. Obviously we want Inflict Light Wounds, because that's her only way of healing herself. And we're going to take True Strike, because it's very nice to have True Strike as an at-will cast for hitting tough things. Plus 20 to hit is not to be laughed at. And you can see that her stats are pretty, as one might expect for an Inquisitor, pretty thematic. We've got regular, pretty average Charisma. 16 Wisdom is what we need for the casting level 6 spells. What's really nice is she's got this 14 Intelligence, which gives us options with Jaethal that we don't have with other classes. So, level 3, we get Solo Tactics. Now this means that all our teamwork feats count as if our surrounding allies also had those teamwork feats for the sake of them taking effect on Jaethal only. It doesn't mean that all our companions have teamwork feats. It just means that if a teamwork feat requires you to be within a certain range of a party member with the same feat, that's fine for Jaethal. She'll get the effect regardless of whether she is or not. And also we get our first one here. So let's just level up again as normal. And so we get 2 feats, so 1 regular feat and 1 teamwork feat. Now, I had to think, and we're going to go a little bit different with Jaethal. I know she uses size, I know that's her thing, but her main problem is she is not a frontline fighter, and yet she cannot be enlarged. A quirk of her being undead means we can't make her bigger using enlarge, so we can't give her the effect of reach with a scythe, which is not a reach weapon. And because she doesn't have martial weapon proficiency, we have no access to something like glaives, so we might as well skip straight to giving her some exotic weapon proficiency. And this can give us something really cool, and I think it's worth demonstrating in this game because it's a great weapon, even if I don't like the animation very much, which is Fauchard, and I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Fauchard, which is a reach weapon, and it's an exotic reach weapon with an 18 to 20 crit range, so probably one of the most powerful types of weapon in the game, hence why it's an exotic weapon. So we're going to leverage Fauchard proficiency in order to help Jaethal stay behind others when she's fighting. And we get teamwork feats. And there are a few good ones, obviously. There are some we can't take yet. But this is another opportunity to demonstrate another feat that people really quite like, which is Precise Strike. And because we get 6 of these, I think we're free to take this early on. This is an extra 1d6 precision damage to flanked enemies. And that, you know, with a regular person who was feat starved, I'd never consider taking a feat that's just going to give 1d6 extra damage, because that does nothing to help you hit, it does no special things. But since Jaethal has these teamwork feats, I think it's quite okay to take Precise Strike here, which is just quite a nice early 1d6 damage boost. And spells, there are a few others we want. We're going to take Shield of Faith, because it's nice to have her to be able to cast that on herself. And there we go. For level 4, we get our judgments improved. Judgments are a bit finicky. I think I'd describe them as a little bit micro-y, a little bit... you just need to sort of familiarize yourself with them. We get another skill point, and you can see we've actually got even. Sorry, we get an ability score point. You can see we've got even, and so that means that there's always going to be like 1 wasted point. But we're just going to pump up her strength, just so we can increase her to hit and damage. There we go, and we get level 2 spells. So obviously we want inflict moderate wounds, and we can. I mean, there's this level. I don't think there's lots of really good stuff, because most of this stuff is superseded by later stuff, later spells. We want remove paralysis. We want. It would be nice to have someone with spontaneous lesser restoration, but we're going to take effortless armor, because I tend to compulsively take this on anyone who wears armor with some weight, who is not who doesn't have armor training. So yes, this it's just, you know, I like having it, and because it's personal only, it's quite useful. There we go. Yeah, obviously your mileage varies depending on whether you have actually bothered to cast it if you've taken it. But this is an important level, because of course we get our Bane ability. So swift action Bane, number of rounds equal to your Inquisitor level, non-consecutive, so it's up to at level 20 rounds of Bane, which is very nice. So stick everything as normal. What if I mess? Law religion. So fifth level. You know, we can do plenty of stuff, but we might as well, since we're going to need to take it anyway, take weapon focus Fauchard there. And for our level 2 spells, we're going to take remove paralysis. This is really nice to have on Jaethal, because you'll notice that there are some enemies who love to cast Hold Person. It's quite a unpleasant spell to get hit with, especially if you've got low will saves. It's nice to have somebody who doesn't need to prepare a cast of removed paralysis, so you can sort of attempt to cure on the fly. Of course, it's better to avoid paralysis in the first place, but sometimes it's not possible. Level 6, another teamwork feat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to stick a point in use magic device, just so it's open for her. Not that it's really going to come in handy too much, but yeah. So we can now. We've got outflank unlocked now, so I think that's a clear, winner at this level, because we want Jaethal to be synergizing with someone like Valerie. There, and another level 2 spell. We'll take Lesser Restoration. There we go. The other options, if you were playing with Jaethal as a main party member, say instead of a harem, you might want to pick up Bone Shaker here, but because her casting stat is only 16, and because she's only a level 6 caster, and because we're probably not going to be taking, necromancy DC boosting spells, I tend to limit the offensive necromancy spells to her whole suite of inflict spells, so she can just actually leverage the fact that she's got high attack bonus to hit people with inflict spells, because it's always really nice. It's always really nice to do. It's satisfying, I think, in game. And we get new type of judgment. Level 7. Boop, 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 boop. There we go. So we get another feat, and the reason I said that Jaethal is quite nice for having that 14 intelligence is that there are some feats that are locked behind intelligence. And one of them is this one here, Combat Expertise. And Combat Expertise is a prerequisite to a lot of other stuff. It requires Intelligence 13. And so if we go down here to look at things like combat maneuvers, here, Trip requires Intelligence 13 and Combat Expertise. We can make tripping characters, something which I haven't gone into with any of the others, because of course Valerie's intelligence is only 9, so we're unable to do that sort of stuff with her without significant buffs to her intelligence. But that is not the case with Jaethal, and I think it's well worth going into, because it helps make her more relevant in your party. If you wanted to use Jaethal, because now we can set up her as a tripping build, which is really quite nice to have on a reach character. That's what I'd be mainly saying, because if you're reach, you can trip, you can get attacks of opportunity in over a very large area if you've got a reach weapon. And if you're going for lots of attacks of opportunity, it's always really nice to have a reach weapon as you do it. And final level 1 spell, I think we're going to take Expeditious Retreat, just because, again, it's really nice to have people moving faster without needing to have haste up all the time. Level 3, we're going to take Inflict Serious Wounds, and we get there are a couple of good spells we want here. We want Magic Vestment, and we want somebody with Prayer. Prayer is a really nice buff here, but I think we'll take Magic Vestment here, because I've got a Wand of Prayer, which will do the same for now if I needed it. And there we go. That is that level. And finally, coming up to level 8, we get the ability to use a second judgment per so every time we activate a judgment, we can have 2 going at the same time, which is nice. Double judgment. And we also get this from being Gotha, which is negative energy heals instead of damages. So that's quite nice. But this is the undead one. If you're undead, then you instead do not take damage from positive energy. So yes, quite nice, but not game changing. And another ability point. Finally got our strength up. And what are we missing? There we go. And another level. Oh, in fact, we can pick it. Yeah. Forgot that you got an extra spell here. There's other useful stuff, but I tend to leave the buffs, like the long-term buffs, like delay poison to the prepared casters, because of course we've got our druid who can throw them out. Anyway, that took longer than I thought, because that was a full level up of Jaethal, so I'm going to stop the video now at about 50 minutes, and in the next video we will travel north to Oleg's. See you then.